Welcome to the Rewire presented by SOPHRAXIA. My name's Christopher, and I will be your guide today. New month means new focus, and this month we're focusing on courage under pressure. And so it's tempting to think that courage is just something you do. You need to do the courageous thing, you do it, you did it, it's done, and that's all that there is. But like anything else, courage is a skill. Um, And I had a teacher tell me one time, they said, you don't have to be brave, you just have to act brave. And I wrestled around with it for a while. And then of course the question that follows is, well, how do you act brave? What does that mean? And so acting brave and being brave in those moments is you know what you should say, but you don't say it. You know what decision sits well with yourself, but you don't do it. And that's where the practice of of courage and being courageous begins, especially under pressure. And when we talk about under pressure, we're talking about your own pressure, the pressure that you feel of yourself against yourself to be yourself and when you're thrown off for what the things that you know instinctively that sit with you that should be done. And so there's a word for that. And the Greeks called it akrasia. And akrasia means the gap between knowing and doing. It's that feeling of when you act against your own better judgment. So it might look like you know you need to have a hard conversation, but you avoid it. You know you need to, the right decision that you need to make under pressure, but you do what's more comfortable instead. You know the standards that you want to live by for yourself, but you choose a behavior that doesn't match it because it's maybe more familiar, it feels more comfortable, it's more habitual. And so you already know, I think that we already know for ourselves what needs to be done. And it certainly have that feeling. We know that feeling of what needs to be done. But the difficulty is following through with what we know in the moment we know we need to do it. And so it's that feeling of unsettledness. It's also a feeling of maybe fear, discomfort. And when that discomfort appears in the mind, in that moment, you know you should be courageous and do the act or perform the right way or say the right thing or have the conversation or whatever it needs to be done. And the mind starts to begin offering us ways out by avoiding, reacting, choosing what feels easier or more comfortable, wherever the more habit is. And so akrasia occurs when we allow those experiences, the experiences of those feelings or thoughts, to pull our behavior from our better judgment and what we know we should be doing. And so it looks like this. We might practice composure, but we still react instinctively or emotionally. We understand the responsibilities of leadership, but we don't step up to it when the moment needs to be there. We value honesty, but we remain silent when we need to say those things and we need to be honest and give feedback. Or you may know that a boundary, you need to set a boundary with somebody, and instead you avoid setting the boundary because you avoid the confrontation or you avoid the feeling of maybe letting somebody down, which is interesting because when we're avoiding those things for someone else's feelings, we're putting ourselves down. We're not showing up for ourselves. So being courageous is not for someone else, it's for us. And so what we really need is that ability to pause, to understand what's going on internally, and then to step up for ourselves in that moment that akrasia appears, and when the mind starts to give us ways out and how to be there for ourselves. And that is a very courageous thing. So to tolerate discomfort, to choose intentionally, that's where courage comes from. Because courage is the ability to act in the way that we know that we should, even though there's fear, discomfort, uncertainty, or anything, whatever it is that is present, for us to be able to move forward for ourselves despite all of that. Um, and it is the courage to face ourselves, because it's in that moment the struggle is happening within us, and that's where that whole feeling of tension comes there, or appears. So courage is how we begin to close that distance between all that. And so what we do is we apply the R&R. We recognize the moment of discomfort. This time it's not a distraction, maybe to begin with. A lot of times when we're focusing the attention, we recognize the distraction, but this time we recognize the conflict internally in a feeling. We recognize the uneasiness, the hesitation. We might even recognize the ability to want to escape. So, whatever it is, we recognize the feeling or the thoughts. We note them. What is present? Fear, doubt, anxiety, discomfort, anger, embarrassment, uncertainty, whatever it is that's appear, when we note it. And we may even note it as a stress, but it could be more than that. So we recognize that there's a conflict. We note the nature of the conflict without judging it, and we return to the moment that we're in. And now that we're beginning our focus on courage, that's enough. It's enough for us right now in this stage to recognize the conflict, note it, and return to what we're doing. We're not even really beginning to change any action. We're just becoming familiar with the feeling of that akrasia, so then we can engage with it in the future as we move through this. So it's really important for us to understand that courage is not a single dramatic act. It's a practice through small moments of intentionality. And it's easy to kind of think that, the big moments are the ones that we kind of give more credit to, or that we give more, yeah, a credit, attention. We weigh them differently. And it's not that they're not, some moments are very life-changing. We're not taking that away. But on our way to those moments, there's a lot of different things along the way. It could even be simple, like your order was wrong. Did you say something about it? Did you avoid it? And I'm not saying that everything needs to be a fight. That's not what it's at. But there's a way to address those things honestly. Something happened with me recently too, where okay, here's one. I was at Disney Springs. I was getting a dessert. I had three options. I asked for the one. It's actually a key lime pie. It's delicious. And I could see the box inside the ice cream thing. I knew that she had one. I just could see it. And she said, we're out of this. I said, are you? I see one right there. And I wasn't trying to be. So the akrasia within me was like, okay, either I'm wrong, I'm seeing things. Maybe it's an empty box. Why would she keep trash in there? Or she's a liar. But why would she lie? And it's not even, I'm not trying to cause a problem, which I think a lot of times we kind of make a storyline that this person's a problem. But I really want to just know, what's the honest answer here? Do you have one or not? Are you saving it for somebody? That's okay. I'd rather know. And so I said, well, I see one right there. Do you keep empty boxes in there? And she goes, well, I have to get restocked. And I was like, And then I had the moment. I'm like, okay, I addressed it. If I take it any further, it's like, I don't know. Now it's a problem. But I did feel a little bit of settled. But that's a simple example of training courage and engaging with akrasia that's kind of low risk, right? Now, when you're at your job and your boss says something to you that's clearly not correct or not appropriate, or there's bigger things along the way, we can become really self-critical of ourselves when we don't step up for those moments, those big moments. But if we haven't been doing the practicing along the way, those moments we're less likely to be prepared for them. So I'm not saying that you need to step up for yourself and engage with all these things along the way, but you should, if they feel that way, and become more familiar with it. It's not a that we're becoming more confrontational with people. And I think that that's a negative mindset that we can project onto it. Well, they're just looking for problems. No, actually, I'm showing up for myself, and I'm doing it in a kind way that's non-judgmental, and that's just seeking answers. Um, and some people might project that onto us that it's a negative kind of thing or that we're creating problems, but we can't control that. So why bother with it? What I can control is how kindly I speak to you, how friendly I am, how it's light. And then for me, I can control how I engage with my own akrasia and how I can be courageous in those moments because one day or maybe sometime there will be a moment that will require some courage to address. And in those moments, I want to be a friend with my self of courage. That way we can engage with it better. I can engage with it better. And I would encourage that for you too. So recognize, note, return, recognize the feeling, the moment of conflict, note it, and return to the moment that you're in. But for now, we won't have to worry about any of that now. We will sit, practice the R and go from there. So with that, let's train. Go ahead and sit comfortable wherever you are. Back straight, eyes open, nice soft focus. A few deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Let's take these off. Soft focus. We can leave the eyes open if you like. We're going to start with some box breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds. And I'll walk you through it. Let's inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold. Exhale, hold. Inhale, hold. Exhale, hold. Inhale, hold. Exhale, hold. Inhale, hold. Last breath. Exhale, hold. Breathe normal. You can close the eyes if you haven't already. Just bring your attention to any sounds around you, any smells, any lingering tastes. As we begin to focus on the weight of the body, where we're seated on the floor, hands in the lap, that feeling of weight pressing down. So we start to scan from the top of the head down, just noticing how the body feels. And if there's any underlying mood of the mind, we're not trying to change it. We're just observing. neck and the shoulders. The posture is straight. The weight of our seat on the cushion on the floor. The hands on the lap and the feet on the floor. Let's start to bring our attention to the breath. To the inhale and the exhale. Just observe it. No need to change how we're breathing. Are the breaths long, short, shallow, or deep? So we rest the attention on the sensations of breathing, on the inhale and the exhale. And when we realize we've been distracted, just recognize the distraction, note it, let it go, and return back to the breath. Observe and feel. And we can pair that feeling of expansion and contraction of the breath with the feeling of a slight curve, just a smile at the edge of the lips. Soft grin. As we breathe and watch the breath. When you realize you've been distracted, just recognize, note, and return. Return your attention to the sensations of breathing and the muscles of grinning. Soft smile. And now, just let the mind be free. If it wants to think, let it think. No restrictions at all. Bring your attention back to the feeling of weight, setting of where you are, of any sounds. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Have a quick stretch if you'd like. And now, when we talk about today's practice of act brave, of courage, what all that means, we're not talking about eliminating fear, eliminating hesitation, eliminating the feeling of discomfort, because that's impossible, and that's not what we're doing. What we're doing is we're learning to recognize the experience before our actions are decided for us. We're recognizing that feeling of akrasia, that feeling of unsettledness, the feeling of where we know what we need to do, and we're either going to act and engage by doing what we know we need to do, or we're going to engage by not doing what we know we need to do. And that feeling, the feeling might be of disappointment. It could be whatever that is, but we want to act in accordance with ourselves, and it's not easy. Um, and it takes practice, and it absolutely takes courage to be there for yourself in the moment that you need yourself to be there. So, akrasia is that gap between knowing and doing, and courage is how we begin closing that gap, and the R&R and rewire is how we do it. So for now, as you move through the week, the practice is to simply notice, to recognize, note, and return, and to recognize when you feel that feeling of conflict in the coming week or of unsettledness, and to note those moments where courage is what you would have needed to move forward or to engage with it. We're not trying to change it. We're not even trying to influence our actions. We're just becoming aware and observing those moments. That way in the future, then we'll be able to engage with them more. But for now, we're not trying to solve every moment immediately. We're looking to experience it first and by observing. So ask yourself, where in your life do you already know what needs to be done, but find yourself hesitating to do it? So carry that with you in the week. Where in your life do you already know what needs to be done, but find yourself hesitating to do it? And engage, stay aware, recognize, note, return in those moments that might feel a little unsettled, so we can work with them next week as we continue our focus on courage under pressure. So my name is Christopher. I really am grateful that you've been here with me. And remember, no pressure, just practice. and I'll see you again here. Bye bye.